Have you ever wondered what it really took to become a samurai? Forget the fancy movies. The path was paved with pain, inhuman discipline, and a daily coexistence with death. It wasn't just swordplay. It was pushing the human spirit beyond its breaking point. Welcome to Lost History, where you learn without getting bored with scenes you won't forget. Stay till the end, because you'll discover the one test that separated apprentices from warriors, and that almost nobody dares to talk about. Imagine waking before the rooster even thinks of crowing. The ground is still exhaling cold. A 5-year-old boy holds a staff taller than he is. He fails. Silence. He tries again. In feudal Japan, being born into the warrior caste meant living with a single promise: service until death. The world outside was unstable. A clan's fortune could change like the wind, and your worth was measured by your ability to obey without trembling. Did you know that? Honor wasn't a pretty word. It was a mortgage on your life. If you ignore what's coming, you get the fable of the shiny katana and the lone hero. But if you stay, you'll see the brutal framework that forged these heroes. Broken bodies, tempered minds, loyalties sworn in blood. Soon, you'll discover why the samurai's deadliest weapon was not the katana. The myth promises elegance. Reality begins with routine. Before dawn, static stances until your legs tremble. Weighted walks. Endless lunges. Strike in a wooden post until your hands go numb. Repeat. 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 Here, pain isn't avoided, it's managed. Summer rain, winter snow, barefoot on gravel, sometimes shirtless so the body learns not to negotiate with the weather. The goal wasn't to look good in an imaginary duel. It was to perform the same in wind, mud, fever, or hunger. What would you do if your instructor left a bucket of ice water by the door and made you douse yourself every time you entered and left the dojo? The child learns to hold his breath, to look straight ahead, to ask no questions. From age 5, precise bows, Caesar that makes legs fall asleep, a heavy silence. Feel the frustration and breathe it in.
Your actions
The
bring
first
shame
lesson
upon
isn't
this
how to
dojo.
cut, it's how to
You
lose
must
your
learn
ego.
discipline and respect.
Uncomfortable fact. On the battlefield, the katana was secondary. What dominated was the yari, the spear, and the yumi, the bow. The sword was the companion for close quarters, the finishing blow, and for identity. This might change the way you see every movie duel. Tools of useful torment, subari. Thousands of practice swings with the bakken until the shoulders burn like fire. Kumitachi. Guided partner drills with millimeter precision. One mistake, and your partner's wooden sword finds your ribs. Tai-atari. Body checking, shoving, off-balancing. Combat is not choreography. It's ordered chaos. Pain as a teacher. If you're injured, you learn to wrap it, to continue from your stance, to memorize kata with a still body and an awake mind. There's no stopping for discomfort. There's adaptation. Could you keep going if every breath reminded you of the last hit? The body breaks. The mind must choose to either break with it or become a blade. Meditation on death. Sitting motionless, counting breaths, contemplating scenarios of defeat, imagining the wound, accepting the end, and releasing fear. This isn't morbid. It's mental hygiene. Training to be already dead when combat begins, so that panic has no say in your decisions. Mokuso before practice. Silence. Eyes half closed. The instructor walks behind. If he senses a distraction, a sharp rap on the shoulder with a wooden fan, it's not a punishment. It's an anchor. Pedagogical humiliation. Rules that seem arbitrary. How to hold the saya, where to leave your sandals, the exact number of steps to the tatami. Make one mistake, and all eyes are on you. The embarrassment is also training. Breaking the ego is harder than breaking boards. The blood oath. keppen. Before joining the school, you sign your promise with a drop of blood. Loyalty to the master, to your comrades, to the tradition. You will not reveal the kata. You will not use the art for crime. You will not seek out fights. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The samurai was not a brawler. He was a conflict manager. Technique without breath. Iaido. Iaijutsu. To draw and cut in a single heartbeat. The scabbard isn't a sheath, it's a springboard. If you hesitate, you die. Ashisabaki. Feet that disappear from the point of attack. The guard isn't a picture, it's the wind. Mei-A. Distance as an equation. Not too close to be trapped, not so far you lose the opportunity. Your best friend is an inch. Near the end of the Edo period, bamboo shinai and protective bogu appeared, allowing for full-speed impacts. Before that, it was bakken against bakken, bone against wood. Fractures weren't a misfortune, they were feedback. The strike first, then the thought. Training the first move to be an instinctive response. There's no evaluating options, there is only deciding. The brain prefers shortcuts. If you see a shoulder open, enter. If you see a hip load up, turn. If you hear an exhale, cut the line. The incredible part is this. The goal isn't to win pretty, it's to impose your timing. More weapons, less glamour. Yari. The backbone of warfare. Reach, formation, pressure. Learning to push against a human wall without breaking the line. Naginata. Leverage and sweeps. Distance control against horsemen and spearmen. Yumi. The asymmetric bow. Ritual and practical archery. Draw, breathe, release. The silence after impact teaches more than 100 speeches. Yabusame. Archery on horseback. Galloping, releasing the reins, aiming and hitting wooden targets. Balance is born in the hips. The rest follows. What do you think the real test was? Hitting the target or not falling off? Kumitachi and plausible combat. The dojo simulates controlled chaos. The pace rises, the breathing lowers. They train ugly entries you'd never see in a movie because they aren't heroic, but they work when the enemy doesn't cooperate. Tameshigiri. Cutting rolled straw mats as if they were limbs. Later, tests on bamboo or old armor. It's not about brute force, but alignment, angle, and intention. The blade won't bite if the wrist hesitates. The unannounced graduation. Some schools demanded passing a controlled Shinken Shobu, an exchange with live blades under strict rules. Others, a public kata demonstration under extreme fatigue. Nobody gives you a medal. They give you responsibilities. Here's the part almost no one tells you. The enemy that defeated most samurai wasn't another warrior. It was disease, the weather, and bad logistics. That's why they trained obsessively on posture to endure for hours, on breathing to conserve oxygen, on keeping a cool head to ration energy. A fight can be decided days before by the one who couldn't sleep. A code that was lived, not recited. Obedience to the daimyo, protection of the peasant, control of your impulses. Bushido wasn't a poem on a wall. It was a reminder that your blade belongs to something greater than you. And yes, it was also social control. What if I told you the reality was very different? Honor didn't come with blood. It was renewed with every choice, especially when no one was watching. An apprentice could repeat 1,000 cuts daily for months, just to fix a 2-degree angle in his wrist. 2 degrees. The same work people now brag about at the gym. Done in a single week. The first strike is a sentence. They train constant seam, mental pressure on the opponent, gazes that invade, steps that steal distance. If you hesitate, his knee is already on your thigh and your center of gravity is sold. In a real fight, beauty lasts less than a blink. All that's left is the decision. Let's recap the points that reveal the true face of samurai training. childhood as a forge, discipline,
That is it?
silence, and a crushed ego
That
from the
is
age of 5.
one.
The body as a resilient tool, weathering climate, pain, and repetition. No excuses. The mind as a steady blade. Meditation on death, radical focus, pedagogical shame. A complete arsenal, Yari, Naginata, and Yumi before the katana. Real combat is a system, not a pose. Tests without applause, discreet graduations, real responsibilities, and a loyalty sealed in blood. Your reward for staying, the silent test. At the end of a certain training period, a student had to walk down the dojo's hallway at night. Halfway through, a hidden instructor would launch a surprise attack with a cloth-wrapped bakken. If the student reacted in time, he passed. If not, he went back to basic training. Cruel? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. That nighttime ambush didn't measure technique, it measured presence. This might change how you see the word reflexes. It's not magic, it's sustained preparation. Being a samurai wasn't about shining, it was enduring until shining became irrelevant. It was knowing a blade cuts not from beauty, but from the invisible will that guides it. If you see a katana today as just polished steel, you're missing the story. The boy who swallowed his pride, the youth who died each morning, the man who refused to draw his sword when all demanded blood. If you enjoy these deep dives where you learn without getting bored, like this video and subscribe to Lost History. Every day, a new historical journey with scenes you won't forget.